Hi, what dangers are facing our Earth? Okay, what is land is island? Why? There is the third tallest mountain, TD Mountain, 12,192 feet high from the sea level. So people come, there is observatory, they look at the sun, the sky, the earth, everything. But these islands are from volcanic rupture. از کوههای آتشفشان به وجود اومدن. به همین جهت in the bottom there is sand. زیرشون همش شنه. حالا ما قبلا توضیح I explained before that Earth has 8 tectonic plates. And these plates are moving every year 1 to 15 centimeters. Because those plates are moving, we are going to have earthquake. If one earthquake happens and one of these islands fell down in the water, it's going to be big misery. We are going to have a wave as high as 100 feet and as strong with the speed of 500 miles per hour. You know what a danger is going to be facing east part of USA. چه خطر بزرگی این آیلندا متوجه بوستون، واشنگتن، نیویورک، فلوریدا تعداد بیشماری کشته میشن. This is not the only island which was a volcanic rupture. ما اینجا هواییان island. اینا 8 island نیست. There are 100 islands, but 8 of them are very huge. این آیلندا 2000 miles away from California. ولی این آیلندها خیلی هیوجن. They are huge. اگه یک از اینا بیفته تو آب, the wave is going to be 150 feet and over 500 miles per hour, and the danger, California, the Mexico, and a lot of places, Washington, and it's going to be huge danger. گاهی موقع میگن sandslide. What's sandslide? When a piece of mountain fell down. You remember last year in Colorado, این سندا به بزرگی یه ماشین بودن. Each of them. So they killed a lot of people and they destroy a lot of cars. خب sinkhole چیه؟ You all heard about sinkhole که تازگی چند تا کوروت افتاد. 8 کوروت. State like Florida, like New York, زیر زمین limestone, they have a lot of holes. این ناحیه‌ها they have a lot of rain. Rain همه اینا رو میخوره. They melt everything. So when everything under is melted, تاپش گلی مونده. گلی ها یک دفعه فرو میریزه. And then they have a sinkhole. So these are very dangerous. But another danger is these mountain, volcanic rupture, کوههای آتشفشانی. ما میدونیم every year mountain has like Etna in Sicily. Every year they have a rupture. And they produce a lot of CO2, the sulfuric acid. They are very bad. But majority of the gases are CO2 and CH4, which is methane. But they are mountains like Tambora in Indonesia. Tambora in Indonesia, 1814 had a rupture. You know, those mountains produce sulfuric dioxide, which is sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid go up, and with the sun's radiation come to the earth and make the whole earth cool. تمام زمین یخ میزنه. اینقدر یخ زده بوده که 1816 اصلا گفتن year without summer. حتی نیویورک، حتی یوروپ. A lot of people died. They didn't have any more vegetable. They didn't have any more foods. And so it was a big misery. Now, why I'm explaining that? برای اینکه Yellowstone National Park, این کوهها, the mountain, 40 mile wide. They cover 3 states. 3 state اینها کاور میکنن. اینا مانتنایی هستند که سولفیک اسید تولید میکنن. اینا the last 2 million years 3 دفعه رابچر داشتن. Every 600,000 years. Now, any day we could have rupture. Any day. اگر همچین رابچری بشه, half of the USA تا 3 feet dust and dirt and everything is going to cover 3 feet. پس ببینین چقدر خطرناکه. Everything is going to freeze. پس a lot of danger, especially California is so close to National Park, Yellowstone Mountains. خب دیگه چه خطراتی میتونه زمین ما رو در بر بگیره؟ permafrost. What is permafrost? استیت های مثل هاوایی، مثل الاسکا، مثل راشا of course، قسمت سایبریا، اینا they have a lot of ice on the ground. But the ice is melting because the last 100 years the temperature rise 2 degrees. 100 سال گذشته 2 درجه هوا گرم شده. تمام این آیس ها داره ملت میشه crack تو زمین full of crack. So the crack affect all the buildings, all the roads. اصلا خونه ها یه دفعه drop on the ground. Worse than that is in crack ها توش a lot of root درخت ها هست، توش a lot of dirt هست. اینا they have a lot of bacteria. I explain the methane, bacteria produce methane به خاطر global warming, because of global warming که بعداً توضیح میدم. دنجر دیگه این سوپرنووا هست. یه دو گفتم سوپرنووایی داریم بهشون میگیم مگاتار. اینا they are so huge. They are a lot of huge one, but they are in the center of our galaxy, not too close to us. And like Betelgeuse, Canis Majoris, but they are a couple of large ones. If one of these bursts, a lot of radiation, خیلی radiation زیادی وارد زمین میشه، میتونه خیلی خطرناک باشه برای ما. خب اینم یه خطر دیگه‌ایه که زمین ما رو. The next danger is the sun. Somebody asked me, yeah, Marcus, oh no, you asked me what happened to the sun when the sun dies. You know, the sun is 4.57 billion years old, but they estimated in 5 billion years, you know, all this hydrogen is going to be used, changed to, you know, energy, changed to light. So when there is very few hydrogen left, now the gravity is going to smash everything, and it's like a billions of atomic bomb burst. So the sun is going to swallow so much, it's going to eat us up. It's going to eat Mercury, Venus, Mars, and even if the sun wouldn't swallow that much, I think the temperature is going to melt all the bacteria, everything on Earth. So the most we are going to live is 5 billion, the Earth. That's why they are thinking about going to Mars. Anyway, in our hot spot میگن یا sun spot، اینا چرا produce میشه؟ به خاطر magnetic field sun. These are so hot, they create such a temperature. Every 11 years they calculated that these spots are increasing. نمیدونن چرا هستن. من حالا دارن جیمز وب تلسکوپی میسازن با 218 قراره که دور سان بچرخه. اینفورمیشنمون در مورد سان بیشتر میشه. Anyway, this could be so dangerous that can burn all of the electricity on Earth. یعنی باید در روز اول وایرها رو شروع کنن بکشن. Everything. Imagine if there is no electricity on Earth, what happened? Anyway, so the sun is very huge danger. But in 16th century, Galileo Galilei واقعا genius astronomy. گفت بابا, when we don't have enough sunspot, we have ice age. We have a small ice age. Nobody believed him that time. They didn't think that he's true. But in 19th century, Edward Monbel ثابت کرد he was right. He was absolutely right. Because the temperature constantly go up and down. We had 5 major ice age, 2.4 billion years ago. Around 700 million, around 450 million, 300 million and 1.2 million years. Of course, when I say 700, that 700 was around 220 million years. Ice covered the whole earth. تمام زمین یخ زده بود. بعدش 70 million years تمام زمین آیس بود. حالا خب چجوری این همه آیس ملت شده؟ اینا رو میگن بیگ. اصلا چی؟ ما حالا فهمیدیم small ice age به خاطر سان اسپاده. How about big ice age؟ ببینید کره زمین به خاطر گراویتی سان، مون و گراویتی خودش تمام سیاره ها، پلنت ها دور sun, imagine this is sun, elliptical. Their orbit is elliptical. But Earth, because of all of this gravity, every 100,000 years, the orbit changes from elliptical as بیضی میشه گرد, round. So when it is round, the temperature should be very hot because all around the earth we have a similar temperature. ولی وقتی که elliptical بیضی میچرخه دو طرف البته counter clockwise میچرخه دو طرف قطب شمال و قطب جنوب از خورشید دورن. They are far away from the sun. So they become very cold. Why they say we have global warming? No, we are orbiting elliptical. So how come right now the temperature is rising? Okay, چی میشه که نه why the whole earth freeze؟ این دو طرف سرده. خب سرما رفتن کنار اقیانوس دو تا مستطیل کشیدن next to the south pole. They put two square, one in land area, land area has a lot of ice even in south pole, the other in ocean. The ice, I just explained, white color reflect all of the sun out. The dark color, the ocean, absorb all of the light in. Valley, when somewhere is too cold, the cold spread. It's like a snowball effect. The cold start from 2 point, get cold, 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 and then the whole earth become full of ice, and the whole earth become icy planet. So what happened after we had the icy planet? Of course, we have volcanic rupture. کوههای آتشفشان وقتی گفتم 220 million years اینا فعالن CO2 زیادی به هوا وارد میکنن. حالا چی باعث میشه که هوا گرم بشه؟ البته میدونیم last time I explained the stone is the reason we know why we had 5 ice age. They study the stone, they know a lot about the stone. But there are other things that they study. First, let's see what happened. What are the gases that create CH4 water vapor? Okay, you know, these are the gases that observe the heat of the sun. Of course, methane absorbs 20 times more than carbon dioxide, 20 times. So 1750, around the Industrial Revolution, CO2 was 320. Last May, it reached 400 ppm, part per million. Million atom in the air, 400-ish CO2. CH4, we said it is much stronger, was 700, now 1500, but ppb, part per billion. Out of all billion, 1,500 are methane. This is 9 to 24%, 4 to 9% of the air. Of course, we are lucky. But water vapor, you know, the ocean تمام آبا چی میشه؟ بخار میشه میره بالا میشه water vapor. The sun, they observe these water vapor, the sun's radiation. Sun میخوره زمین, sun again the radiation return back. We said the light return reflect. Of course, reflect like the infrared light. It becomes less strong, weaker light. And we don't see it, but constantly all the lights hit the earth and return back to the sky. Anyway, these come back in the morning like a shabnam. میبینین که زمینا تر میشه and they call it, Angela was telling me, dew. We call it dew. That's why these are around 5,000 ppm. But these are not dangerous because we like humidity in the earth. These two are dangerous. حالا گفتیم CO2 از کجا به وجود میاد؟ یکی گفتیم از volcanic rupture. ولی ما human beings make the most of CO2. Why? Because of ما که پیوریفای میکنیم oil و coal و use میکنیم این فکتریامون we create a lot of CO2. Right now I want to explain something. I thought maybe later on I talk about it, but I like this one. Okay, how do they fight with CO2? We have a lot of CO2. What is CO2 capture, carbon dioxide capture? It's Obama, he's giving a lot of fund to capture CO2. So one idea was, okay, let's take a CO2, take it all the way down on the earth, you know, the area further down, maybe 5 miles down. We save it around here. And this is very expensive for the factory to do that. Of course, there was Iranian guy, یه مرد ایرانی بود به اسم رضا گنج دانش. اومد گفت ببین CO2 که البته اینو چجوری میارن با water and salt میگن براین. میارن زیر زمین. گفت بابا وقتی که CO2 وارد واتر میشه آب میشه CH4 میشه متین. So حالا with brine take it back. Methane is flammable gas. میسوزه انرژی تولید میکنه. Create energy. Right now five companies are using this method. I'm very proud of Iranian. Another thing, another way they are fighting, they are creating a plants. میگن carbon, these are new carbon blue plants. اینا genetically modified plants هستن. اینا 5 times CO2 بیشتر observe میکنن. حالا به زودی اینا رو تمام اوشنا، تمام سیاه they are going to plant them so they observe more carbon dioxide because majority of on the earth 75% are water, so majority of CO2 are in water. So the plants they observe CO2 and release oxygen. Of course, this is not 24 hours. Around from the morning till 12 o'clock midnight, the plants observe CO2, release oxygen. From 12 to 4, it's reversed. But altogether, 80% of our oxygen از کجا میاد؟ از اوشنا میاد. پس ما هیومنا هستیم به خاطر اویل اینقدر پرودیوس میکنیم. بعداً I'm going to talk about the energy. ولی CH4 چیه؟ ما خودمونم we breathe the air. Okay, take oxygen. Oxygen goes to every cell in the body. Why? Because we have a small pieces, we call it mitochondria. These mitochondria with oxygen تمام شوگر و تمام فت رو میگیرن تبدیل به انرژی میکنن. Okay, chemical energy has been converted to the mechanical energy. Then we can move. خب این از این. ولی how about methane? گفتیم بکتریا متین پرودیوس میکنن. We eat the food. Food goes in our colons. 60% of dry colons is bacteria. There are 700 different bacteria in our colon. تو روده بزرگ. از این 700, 30% are good bacteria. The last observation of food, vitamin K, vitamin B12 observed in colons. ولی but 70% are bad bacteria. They produce what? Methane. They stay in our body. All the gas we release, not us, all the animal, all the cows, everything is CH4. So imagine how much we are adding to CH4 of the air. بعدم زیر زمین underground هنوز آیس هست. زیر آیس ها پر از دایناسورها هست، پر بکتریا. دایناسورها موندن پر از بکتریا شدن. اونام چیه؟ تمام هوا داره گرم میشه. Water has been warmer 1.2 degree temperature. So those water become warm, methane release and come up. Right now we have a lot of methane, I explained, but 10,000 billion tons of methane are underground. They are releasing. I watched a video from the Science Channel. They were showing Florida, the Atlantic Ocean, different ocean. Methane are coming up like a bubble. These are extremely dangerous. They are like atomic bomb. برای اینکه نگاه کن, all these methane are releasing. I told you methane is flammable. Somebody, fill up, John, one bottle, brought it up, used a match, it burst, So imagine that could create like an atomic bomb, kills a lot of people. So methane is very dangerous. Also landfill. What is landfill? تمام گاربیجای ما، آشغالای ما رو میرن میریزن توی ناحیه. خب اینا چند روز میمونه. They stay 4 days at least. خب sometimes they burn them, they create CO2. ولی like Massachusetts, out of 600 landfill they have, and half of landfill is bacteria, half of it. So what they would do, they burn them and they create energy, which is great. You know, these are things we have to do in our life. Okay, we said, how do we know the weather is warm, the weather is cold? Of course, from the stone, we said they have a lot of information. Then also from the ice. First of all, this is Richard Alley. He lives in Northport. And he has a laboratory. He loves ice and study in a laboratory. Of course, he teaches too. They went in Greenland. They dig 2 miles of ice. 2 miles رفتن با این ice در آوردن. آیسا رو در آوردن، اینا رو همجور رو شلف گذاشتن. 2013, 2012, they came down. Around 110,000 years, exactly they know how was the weather. How do they know that? Of course, when the band are long, هرچی بلندتره, it's colder weather. خب معلومه برف, we had more snow. هرچی shorter, it's warmer weather. برای اینکه every year, North Pole and South Pole, they are 30 degrees Fahrenheit different, approximately. Every year, summer and winter is approximately 30 degrees. So in the summer, North Pole and South Pole, we have nice summer. You saw the teddy bear come out in North, the penguin come out in South Pole, it's sunny. So there is a band between two. So they really know when is 2013, when is 2012. Not only that, there is a lot of things. You know, they are pieces of different animals, different living things. Look at, this is 42,000 years old. Woolly mammoth. There is no more woolly mammoth on Earth because the weather, the temperature has raised. And they found this in Siberia, in ice. Of course, there are a lot of tiny pieces that they can know a lot about it. دیگه چی هست? What else? The sand. This is a picture of a couple of pieces of sand in the ocean. نگاه کنین این سندا رو نگاه کنین. Full of mineral. Look at how many mineral. Every mineral has information, has age, has history, has location. So these are all knowledge. این آیسال پر از information. دیگه چی پیدا میکنن؟ پر از پلانت پیدا میکنن. پلانت ها چرا مهمن؟ These are breathing tube. رگ‌های تنفسی بهش میگن. When the weather is warm, okay, CO2, there is a lot of CO2 on air. So اینا باریک میشن, they become narrow. Even these biologists have tiniest piece. They can figure out how warm is the temperature by these. When the weather is cold, they want to observe more CO2, the plants, and release oxygen. پس اینا چی میشه؟ تیک میشه. So these are very good information for these biologists, you know. And they figure out a lot. They are full of pollens. They are full of dust. They are a lot of knowledge in these ice that they can figure out exactly what was the temperature. There are a lot of oxygen. When the weather is warm, هوا گرم چیه؟ حیوانات grow more. انسان‌ها grow more. Plants grow more. Plants grow more. Plants produce oxygen more. So when they have a lot of oxygen, they know the temperature was high. You know, temperature هوا خیلی گرم بوده اینجا. خب اینم از این. ولی الان دلم میخواد بریم در مورد انرژی، برای اینکه این انرژی ها in USA خیلی مهمه. Source of energy in USA. ما اینجا 20% of energy in USA از کوله، زغال سنگ. این خیلی مهمه برای اینکه 90% of این در United States electricity تولید میشه. 10% manufacturing. در صورتی که چاینا 60% of coal چی میشه؟ اینجا برعکس میشه درست. اینجا 90% electricity, 10% in USA manufacturing. Become 60% manufacturing. That's why they have so much pollution. That's why they cannot breathe. They are in big trouble. Okay, coal create 10 times more CO2 than oil. حالا بریم oil. Oil is 36%. بزنیم oil. Okay. This oil مهمه اینجا. 70% of oil میشه برای electricity. اینجا 24% manufacturing. Okay, 5% warm up the houses. ولی اویل ما در آمریکا روزی 20 میلیون برل اویل لازم داریم. نصفش 10 میلیون برل خود USA داره پرودیوس میکنه. If you check 1 month later, this number changes. Well, it's amazing. نصفشو خود USA. بقیهش چی؟ بقیهش 5.5 تقریبا میلیون برل ما داریم از اوپک میخریم. بعداً حدود 7.1 اینو از کانادا میخریم. 1.1 از مکزیکو تقریبا approximately. یه چیزی میخوام در مورد کانادا. اینجا آلبرتا یه ناحیه در کانادا as large as فلوریدا. XL pipeline رو شنیدین حتما یا in TVs and constantly talk about it. اینا همه سنتاره مثل قیر میمونه، توش اویل هست، البته قیراش خیلی سفته. Now what they have done, they have created factory here اینجا. They change the santal, they melt the santal so they can use it in the pipeline. So I'll better mention that Democrats are against that we buy the tar from Canada and import it to America. نمیخواد که ما اینا رو بخریم. چرا؟ میگن میایم اینجا اینا رو تصفیه میکنیم، CO2 هوا میره بالا. ریپابلیکن میگن we don't buy it, China wanna buy it. خب air is air، همه جا پخش میشه. پس الان هاوس و اینا تصویب کردن. Obama I'm sure is going to sign for that and let it happen because right now الان حدود 700,000 barrel دارن با train. With train they are transporting to USA. But later on, if there is a pipeline, that would be much easier. ما از کانادا اویل بخریم. یک چیز دیگه در مورد اویل بعدا میرم در مورد. خب اینجا 24% natural gas. Natural gas هم خیلیاش باش خونه ها رو گرم میکنن. 90% of natural gas we warm up the houses, commercial building, every 10% maybe in electricity. I want to show you something about oil and natural fracking. You keep hearing fracking. What is fracking? Because a lot of oil are underground, a lot under the oceans, under the ice, and they are spread around. So they use one pipe, huge pipe, and drill it, go down. میبرن پایین. الان ژاپن داره الان میره Japanese under the ice in ocean میرن پایین. بعد یه دونه لوله دیگه sand and water with the pressure they push it in so the rest of oil leaking and so this way they can bring the oil and natural gas much faster to the earth. خب اینم از این. پس اینم natural gas. 10% of energy الان nuclear energy. اینا الان توی این امریکا یک ناحیه به نام آیداهو اینا دارن الان خیلی they are building the biggest nuclear facility in the United States. I think they want to sell it to other countries too because they are upset that Russia is having a nuclear facility and I want to first explain Russian nuclear facility because they want to become a superpower with this facility. It's around 30 years. 30 ساله که راشا داره روی این کمپانی‌های برق nuclear facility کار میکنه. اینا رو you can have this on land or اینا ببینید مثل ship میمونه. In the ship, they're next to the water, maybe the countries which are next to the ocean. And Russia has spent so far 55 billion, 30 years, to establish this nuclear facility. And he's selling each one for $3 billion, $3 billion. He has sold to Turkey, he has sold to Vietnam, China, Iran. Actually, he had expo, Russia had the expo, invited all the countries and showed them what he has, and everybody was happy, and people are keep buying. And Russia explained there is two advantages. چیز خیلی خوب است در مورد این فسیلیتی ها. یک، ما میدیم نوکلیر فسیلیتی هم ویست تولید میکنن، آشغال تولید میکنن. این ویست ها مثلا لانگ آیلند یه دونه منهتن نوکلیر فسیلیتی بود، همه ویست ها رو ریختن زیر لانگ آیلند. The cancer rate is very high in Long Island. شاید به خاطر نیوکلیر ویست ها هست. راشا میگه no. we burn this nuclear waste and create energy. So there is no waste, no waste. Secondly, Russia invite all the students. Right now from Turkey, 50 students are in Russia. Free, مجانی دارن, they are study. They learn everything. They work with this equipment, they repair this equipment, they do everything. So Russia so far built 40 nuclear power. They are building 40 more. So imagine they are going to make a lot of money. خیلی پولدار میشن. America is against it. Why? Oh, of course, they don't want Russia have a very good relationship with other countries. But worse than that, میگن این these waste، میگن کشورهای عربی یا بعضی کشورها nuclear waste رو میکنن atomic weapons. خب میترسن atomic weapon. بعدم میگن فوکوشیما یادتونه 3 years ago in Japan میگن اگه یکی از اینا برست بشه هنوز I saw a movie about Fukushima هنوز there is radiation getting out of some of these the factories, some of these equipment, and they keep pouring water, and all radioactive material enter the water. Actually, they did a lot of tests. Even the plants in different oceans, they are polluted. You know, خب خیلی خطرناکه اینا تمام رادیواکتیوها وارد ولی راشا میگه من خیلی روی اینا کار کردم I worked so hard nothing will happen no earthquake nothing خود راشا 10 years ago one of these bursts in ocean 4 scientists disappeared 4 تا دانشمندش افتادن تو حتما ماهیا خوردنشون ولی بیچاره ولی راشا says there is no danger ولی this is interesting خب به نظر من more interesting is biotech. اولا renewable energy. renewable energy هم 10% ولی از این renewable energy 3.3 sun و وینده. این همه sun داریم منم ویند داریم میرن از اوپک چیز میخرن. از این renewable 3.3 okay 5 hydraulic water. The dams they use the hydraulic water. Around 2% only biotech. In biotech is very interesting. First of all, what is biofabrication? یادتونه last year there was a hamburger $300,000 برای اینکه استم سل کاو گرفتن گاو گرفتن in laboratory they create meat. In 10 years from now, majority of meats are going to be made in laboratory. Why? Right now on earth چقدر جمعیت داریم 7.3 یا billion. At any time 60-100 billion animal exist that we are consuming. Is it fair? Yeah, is it right? این همه animals are producing all methane, you know, like human being. Actually, when cow burp, also he release not human being, the cows, you know, release methane. So this is a good way. Actually, they also create a kit here, dinosaur meat, again from a stem cell in lab. And they promise next year from woolly mammoth that doesn't exist anymore, they are going to create the meat, you know, from a stem cell. So look at the technology. What is ethanol? All of the plants receive the energy from sun, and they have sugar, you know. They convert sugar to ethanol. Okay, first of all, ethanol is a pure alcohol. If you remember 1908, the Ford اولین ماشینایی که اختراع کرد was working with alcohol, but they weren't even pure alcohol. بعداً حالا ماشینا ترقی کرد. This is sugar cane, you know. Brazil, around 1970, you remember OPEC raised the price of oil, it became $40 per barrel. They said, are we crazy? We pay OPEC, and they were right. Sugar cane. So this sugar cane, they are from 6 to 19 feet. Of course, these are a type of wheat, sugar cane, you know, علفن. خود wheat ویدن, you know, ویدن. خود wheat علفه, خود rice علفه. اینا ویدن. بعد sugar cane of course has the most sugar. بعدش میدونیم بگیم بیت کین چغندر این کینای چغندر بعد کورن کین بعد از اون ویت ها هستن اینا شکر زیادی دارن ولی خب they take this sugar cane and they add yeast خمیر ترش میریزن they convert to ethanol so برزیل برگشت کم 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 تمام ماشیناش با اتانول کار میکرد. ولی اتفاقی که افتاد few years ago all the farmers realized you are not making money, so why should you know produce of course these need a very little water because they are wheat, but still they are losing their land, so they changed that to grow vegetable and fruit. And later I explained when we get to the light, if you didn't have headache yet, that Iran, let me explain in Iran, 50% of our fruit, 30% of our vegetable, 80% of our all the seafood, 90% of shrimp come from Mexico, South America. Of course, there is equipment in customs, CSI. Let's explain it here. CSI, Custom Security Initiative. خب نمیخوان که این بکتریا وارد آمریکا بشه. This is equipment that gamma ray pass through it. تمام بکتریا رو میکشه. Every hour 30 container go through CSI. So it kill all the bacteria, and this is very good for United States. Anyway, so ethanol, then they realized it. What happened to them? Few years ago, you know, they had shortage of ethanol. The line of the cars, the whole day they have to wait for it. مردم یه روز توی خط بنزین وای میسادن بنزین بخرن. Then the country realized they made a mistake. They create hybrid car. Hybrid car ها تو دو سیستم کار میکنن. اینا بعدن رو اتانول و بنزین کار کردن. gasoline. So now Japanese make gasoline and electrical, which is a great two system. Automatically they can convert to different system. So that is ethanol. What is cellulosic? Cellulosic is when they use the sugar from the cell. So دوپانت یه منیفکچرینگ کانتینرهای خیلی بزرگ داره، برانچز های اضافی کورن و نمیدونم ویت و وید و everything, all this garbage they threw it in a big container. They add again yeast. They produce hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon is a fuel diesel. So for the trucks, for the jets, they use that. So this is another biotech. Then we have another one, the synthetic biology. Synthetic biology is here. This is similar. All this junk extra they have, they add E. coli bacteria. E. coli bacteria is food poisoning bacteria. Why? Because E. coli bacteria has protein. Protein absorbs sugar, and again, they create hydrocarbon. So this is another way. Another way, algae. Algae vegetable, you know, all over the world. To ocean ها پر algae. اگه یه ذره humidity باشه, top of the car we have algae. Top of the house we have algae. On pools. algae هم همین کار میکنن. تو کانتینر یست میریزن ازش انرژی. حالا این روزا in the basement they use a lamp, artificial lamp to create energy for algae. So they grow algae. Algae in 1 year become 3 to 6 times, you know, spread like crazy. So anyway, that is another way that they are using this technology. So let's see, what else? I explained that. What should I talk about? Do you want we go to all these light and I explain everything, so that would be maybe interesting for you? Okay. No, I talked before that Paul Villard was a French scientist in 1900 realized there is a radiation when he was using radioactive material. But he didn't know it is light, and Ernest Rutherford, he was from New Zealand, he realized this is energy, this is light, he called it gamma ray. So by then they knew, and they didn't give him any prizes because in 1908 he got the chemistry Nobel Prize, so they didn't give him any Nobel Prize. Anyway, then they knew the radioactive material produced gamma ray. I told you gamma ray before I explained, is the only radiation decay the nucleus. This is very strong radiation. I met a scientist in Boston last year that he told me at night they found the gamma ray in people's body, you know, they haven't published this information yet. Of course, they are radiation. Okay, then 1990, they made Compton. This is a spacecraft. This Compton had a spectroscopy that when it became red, they knew there is gamma ray somewhere. This, for 9 years, was working, and they figured out 2,700 places in universe they produce gamma ray, but they didn't know where does it come from. So they had to build another. This is Swift. 2004, they created another space telescope. Swift is orbiting right now too. Actually, Swift right now is looking for exoplanet. Exoplanet چه پلنتایی که پلنتایی مثل ارت دارن دنبالش میگردن که نه به خورشیدشون they are not too far from their sun, they are not too close for sun. Because I explained Kepler, June lost one of the equipment. They cannot search about the planet anymore. Anyway, this one realized when supernova bursts create gamma ray. Of course, every day in universe they find one supernova. But imagine this, look at one tiny area of a universe. Imagine the rest of the universe. I'm sure in universe many supernova bursts. But then they want to know if there is any more, you know, gamma ray. So Fermi, this is another space telescope. American, French, Italian, Japanese, all together they made Fermi. Fermi هم هنوز داره میچرخه اینا. That was interesting. First of all, they realized when the cloud hit each other, they create gamma ray. But more interesting is همین تو space Earth بود، همین جاها یه دفعه همین جاها gamma ray جذب کرد. So now the scientists said, sun also make gamma ray. It's not just X-ray, ultraviolet, everything. Of course, they knew everything, but they weren't sure. Some scientists say, no, you're wrong, you're wrong. You know, they are atoms, they are very tiny, like hydrogen, yeah, they have a lot of empty space, you know. Gamma ray is a strong radiation. When another cloud bursts, they go inside this atom and enter in they pass the ozone layer. So anyway, there is gamma ray around us. I want to explain only one. I know you are going to have a headache. What is PET scan? Because God forbid, PET scan is equipment. Out of every 2 people in their lifetime, they are going to have cancer. So let's go to PET scan because we want to compare them PET scan with CAT scan. Then we have MRI. MRI is magnetic and the radio wave, and see what are the difference between these radiation. Okay, this is a PET scan. Of course, has 4 dimensions. You know, the regular X-ray has 2 dimensions, up and down, right and left. But the PET scan has 4, not only up and down, right, left, front and back. They give a patient the radioactive sugar. Why? In تمام سلولای سرطانی their food is sugar. So what would radioactive sugar do? They change the electron. You know, electrons are negative. They change the negative electron to positive positron. The positron emission tomography. PET means positron emission. Then this equipment, because work with the gamma ray, observe this positron, and we have a nice photography of the PET scan. PET scan is colorful. Masalan, this is brain. This is interesting. You know, the strong light is purple. The weak light is red. And we are stupid, all of us, because, no, all of us, because they train us to believe totally reverse. ببینین شیرای آب, you know, yeah, the red one is hot. The cold one is blue. So this is very wrong. As they teach us, oh, heart is hot, it's red. It's not true. The red is the weakest light. Now I remember that this PET scan, any area is red or orange, this is a very weak. Something is wrong. You know, purple and blue was healthy cells. So they test that, but I want to explain something else. There is a scientist, Iranian scientist. I'm so excited when I hear about Iranian scientists. I'm so proud. His name is, Reza. No, that was, I'm going to remember. Ali Rezai. Okay. Ali Rezai worked in Ohio University. He's a neurologist. He has a deep brain stimulator. یه دونه اینجا استیمولیتر میزنه، یه دونه مثل پیس میکرایی هست که تو قلب میذارن این هارت. He checked the brain, okay? People who have Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer, they have obesity, they have so many diseases, you know. I saw a movie, somebody had a very bad shaking hand. So he came and put a pacemaker. They connect to pacemaker. They have connected and with one of the special equipment, they give electricity to that area. The electricity somehow cure everything. You know, that patient, they gave so much electricity with the stimulator that stopped shaking. That guy stopped shaking altogether. This operation lasts 3 hours. Ali Rezai is, to me, is a great scientist. But I saw another email yesterday, and I was very impressed. Israel has created no invasive surgery. Brain surgery. اینم باز یه مرده بود اسمش سامی زنگی, Iranian guy. He had shaking hand for 15 years. So what they did MRI. Of course, they did MRI, and they realized which part of brain has a problem. They saw a small tumor, and what they did, they put a helmet, and through that, the ultrasounds, radiation, they cured that guy. No cut. هیچ بروشی دیگه نداده بودن به مغز. البته 4 تا ساینتیست‌های نورولوژیست با هم کار کردن. That was a big deal. اینم جالبه. نگاه کنین گفتم که اینا الکترودایی که میذارن. این that was a guy had an accident, had 16 area damage in a spinal cord. این الکترودا رو گذاشتن با همه رو وصل کردن. بعدن اینجا بهش انرژی دادن. این نگاه کنین electricity دادن. This guy walked after this operation, 16 location he had a damage in a spinal cord. Of course, these days they do with a laser. They don't even, they do a surgery even, they have a problem. That is good, but this is excellent. This is a doctor in California. If you want a name, I have the name of these. Okay, PET scan. This is interesting because of Moise and Jacqueline. You know, blue topaz is not good. White topaz is not good. Blue topaz is valuable. So blue topaz, they pass gamma ray through white topaz, it becomes blue topaz. They use gamma ray in soap manufacturing, paper manufacturing. Very important, where is your husband? Operating room. To clean the air, to clean all the equipment, they use gamma ray because it's a strong radiation. Actually, in laboratory, because they cannot get a gamma ray, from the nucleus, they create gamma ray. But X-ray from electron, they create gamma X-ray in the laboratory because they cannot get it from the air. So they use it a lot. Let's go to X-ray. X-ray, we know we have 2 types of X-ray, soft X-ray, hard X-ray. Soft X-ray, you know, laser, they make a laser with it, you know, everybody knows how good is laser. Hard laser, X-ray, they make an X-ray, and I want to just mention 2 things about X-ray because everything. They are positive and negative news about X-ray. چرا؟ Negative news is که حالا با X-ray میدونن uranium 235, 238. Uranium 235 is very good, feasible, can be cut in the low temperature. Uranium 238 is not useful. So right now with those centrifuges, they separate. In future with X-ray, Iran actually is doing, they are separating these 2 uranium. So they said maybe in 5, 6 rate, people in their basement, they can create atomic bomb. Imagine what would happen to the world. But the good news, let's go to the good news. And there is a guy in California, he has a lab. Of course, I draw this picture, this is very bad, but his name is Ed Moses. He's a scientist. Obama gave him $2 billion fund. Obama $2 billion بهش پول داده. In reality, he want to create sun in the laboratory. خورشید میخواد توی آزمایشگاه درست بکنه. چطوری؟ ببینید اینا لیزر بیمه. He has many laser, 192 laser beam. یکم radiation به اینا وارد میکنه X-ray. اینا وارد میشن. This is a cup. This is a metal cup, and this is a ball of hydrogen. What happened in the sun? Fusion. Fusion means the hydrogen connect to each other and create helium and light, the first section of the, okay. So this energy become more and more stronger. I later on explain if you want to know how it becomes stronger. And millions of watts of energy enter this hydrogen and create tremendous amount of electricity, tremendous. 100 of second this operation lasts, 100 of second they can create electricity for 1 hour of cities like Boston, 600,000, or Washington. One day they can create the energy for United States for the whole day, 1 month for the whole year. This is amazing. So nuclear facility is fission because the atoms, create energy, but this is fusion. It's like a solar. And he drank something that says, L'chaim, we are going to succeed. So he has a lot of hope. I have already seen a couple of program in science program he comes, and he's very positive about it, that his invention is going to work.
I understand making energy is not a problem in this country, but storing energy is a problem.
Yeah.
We don't have tools to store enough energy for the country.
So they can create that. I don't think they want. Again, we go back to politics, There's so many unemployed people. They don't want, that's my opinion. They don't need OPEC's oil. Why do they need all these sources of energy? I have to explain hydrogen. You can separate hydrogen from water. We had a friend in Boston, Ahmad Minai. We are very close friend. 40 years ago, he showed us separate with one battery, hydrogen from oxygen. Hydrogen is flammable. He showed us. He could, he could turn the engine. The engine was running with hydrogen. I saw a program, those truck drivers in America, they use a tank and they separate with the battery, the hydrogen, and they run that car for 3,000 miles. 3,000 miles. Then they have to change the water. So is it difficult to do that with 9 voltage of battery? You can, separate the hydrogen in 1 glass of water. It's not a difficult thing. So many unemployed people. There is a reason, political reason. People who have oil, they have power and money too. Anyway. CAT scan is, actually CAT scan is with X-ray. It's white and black. Sometimes they give a patient a little bit color, chemical with a color, so they want to see somewhere more obviously. Computer tomography in CAT scan حساب میشه, white and black. So that take a lot of nice picture because all the tissue which are like a bone, they show very light in CAT scan. All the soft tissue become darker, and from these computerized pictures, they realize if somebody has problem. A lot of diseases, and especially the cancer, they can realize with that. There are 2 telescopes, they are very important. Kepler was looking for exoplanet. Kepler found 24 exoplanets, very similar to Earth. Kepler 12 is so similar, there is a lot of hope. But right now, they have to build a different spacecraft to make sure if they have water, if they have CO2, if they are livable. But I am sure, دوست من محیط طالعی اینجا بود, he left. A few months ago, he called me and says, Pam, tomorrow there is a seminar in Pierce College. Oh, I was so happy. I was there from 8:30 till 8 o'clock p.m. Then I was a babysitter, otherwise I would have stayed longer. Okay, there was a guy, Zed Shusak. He's a professor of college. He said, I promise you, of course there are so many planets. Even NASA said there are 40 billion planets similar to Earth. 40 billion, similar. So I mean, how many, of course, you know, how many stars we have? We have 200 to 400 billion. Look at solar, we have 13 planets. So imagine if a star would have 2, 3 planets, what would happen to it? Of course, they were making a big mistake before. Kepler was looking for a blue star, you know, and trying to find a planet around blue star. Blue star are خیلی پر انرژی هن. They couldn't see the planet that well. حالا دارن یک اکویپمنتی درست میکنن بهش میگن تز. تز خیلی جالبه. حالا تزم پیدا نمیکنم به این موقع که میخوام. تز خیلی شاخه داره. قشنگ میدونه. And they are going to look around the red dwarf star, because red dwarf star can exist billion and trillion of years, and they have a heavy metal. So they have heavy metal. They can last a long time, and they have a very, very even energy. So the planets are going to be, a lot of them, much older than us. Our planet is 4.54 billion years. The universe is 13.81 billion. Right now, I want to explain something, because you weren't here. I didn't explain for everybody. Why do they think the planet is 13.8, the universe is 13.1 billion years old? This is a W map, baby picture of universe. You know, after a Big Bang, there was a black fog, and 379 years later, they could see some light, and because of light, they take a picture. There were 2 scientists, Robert Wilson, and these 2 scientists, they had Arno Penzias, the second one. I didn't want to explain that, I saw you. And they were working on the speaker. This is a speaker. They were working actually for Bell Company in New Jersey. They were transferring some of the telephone calls from some area to one of those the satellite. So they were preparing all the equipment. They heard some noises. What are these noises? They tried so hard, they couldn't get rid of the noises. They went outside, they tried morning, they tried night, and that was 1964. They worked so hard till 1987 that they won Nobel Prize of Physics. What they realized, these are microwave background radiation, these lights. How do they realize? Of course, one day had a balloon went up, not too far. They realized these microwave background radiation right now on Earth is minus 271. With balloon become warmer. They had COBE, another spacecraft with COBE. As they went higher, the temperature rise and rise. So they realized there should have been the Big Bang. There should have been the Big Bang, and this radiation right now is on Earth, and this radiation go inside the speaker, make a noise. Convert to what? Sound. So that is why they realized there should have been a Big Bang, and they won a Nobel Prize. Okay, so.
Do you know anything about aliens? Or?
Yeah, aliens, I truly, truly believe they are aliens. It's better if you want to ask any question, that's fine. Because I watch science programs so much. I saw a couple of things that of course I have no doubt. First of all, why should we see these aliens? Right now, Japanese create a fabric that the light goes from behind it. All they need a camera and projector, and so you won't see anything. You can cover yourself and use camera. So these spacecraft, I'm sure they are planet much, much smarter than us. Why should we see them? There was 2 reasons. There was a pilot, he was on a very small plane, you know, maybe 30 years ago. He was top of Australia. And he was talking, you know, with somebody, you know, and explaining everything. Oh, temperature is fine. Suddenly he looked and he said, my God, I'm looking at something. He got scared, he screamed. He looked at the others. Oh, I'm looking at something. And then the noise, there was a noise of the metal grinding, metal grinding. And then the noise disappeared, the airplane disappeared. The interesting thing is NASA worked extremely hard on that. One of the person was working for NASA says, I'm sure these are UFO. They, you know, kidnapped these. And even his father, the guy's father, says he loved us. There was no reason he disappeared. They looked for this airplane for a long time. If the airplane dropped on the, you know, Australia, the water, you know, aluminum is very light. That's why I'm Malaysia, I'm shocked. It's so light, it's going to fall to pieces. Right. So there has to be few pieces. They check everything, everywhere. He didn't have enough gasoline to go anywhere. Even NASA, the expert who studies, says he has been kidnapped, you know. So that was one that I watched and I listened. I had no doubt. And there was an old man took a picture, I swear. They showed it. At the same time, he was taking a picture of sun. He saw the airplane and he saw object next to it. This is amazing. You should have seen that one. If I record it, I call you. Yeah, there is a lot of things that made me really, truly believe that this program that has to be. Another one I remember. In Italy, there is a small village. Small village next to the water. So many houses, they had fire. One from toaster, one microwave, one from refrigerator. 50 houses, they had fire. They did so much. They investigate so many scientists. Then one of the scientists realized that the magnetic energy, there was a lot of magnetic energy around there that didn't exist. They sent all these people to hotel. They were poor people, you know. But, and then they stopped talking about it because the scientist says, we believe one of these UFO, they come and use, I talk about the Nikola Tesla, use the magnetic energy, create the electricity, those power tower from magnetic. So they are coming here using our magnetic energy for their fuel. So there was a lot, they are amazing. There was another one, suddenly it was such a huge burst in the country, South America. Everybody was shocked, everybody ran. From their home, from their shops, everything. They looked. Of course, they knew where the noise came from. They went there. There was a white powder. Of course, that area they had uranium. They had no doubt. Of course, the lady that she said it's impossible UFO will be true. She went investigate. She saw the powder. She saw everything. She said, no, I believe it. There was no other way that sound, that tremendous sound could have been created. Anyway.
Just for
sure.
Your information, the History Channel has a movie. It's called Hangar One. I don't know if anyone has seen that. And it's all about UFOs, and there are secret files that now they are bringing them out and talking about it, all the pictures, all the evidence, everything. It's very interesting. Thank you.
Edgar Mitchell, the sixth astronaut. You know, in the New Mexico, many years ago, right now Edgar Mitchell is 80 years old, and he went to the moon too. So when he was 18 years old, he was in Army. New Mexico, somebody called, somebody dropped in our land, you know. So he was one of those soldiers. I swear, I listened to this interview. If I tell you 30 hours, I did. Because all those people that claim they saw UFO, one was dead. One, they took it to the, you know, military location. One of these guys that talk about, that time he was 11 years old. 11 years old. He said, I touched this spacecraft. They were so cold, my hand is stick to that. 11 years old doesn't know. You know, when something is very cold, it can create a tremendous speed. And then Edgar Mitchell in London, he was very news time. He said, I'm so angry at government. Why they are hiding this? He has 2 PhD. Why should he lie? Why should he lie? He was there, he saw it, but of course they said it was air bubble and it was military.
I have a question.
Yes,
everyone.
sure.
We keep hearing about like fish or birds just falling out of the sky, or a bunch of fish in the ocean just all of a sudden dying in one like small area. Do you know anything about that? They keep saying it's because like the oxygen like supply in the water it decreases and the fish die, but is that what's really happening?
I think radioactive material. That is what happening, because the way I said, we don't know what happened to us in 10 years, what happened in Fukushima, you know. And who knows, there could be other things in the water that create those poison, you know. Poison, yeah.
I told you, there are seaweeds. When they
create acidic, yeah.
Acidic material, so
exactly.
they eat it and they all die.
And they fly and they eat something, you know, they consume. Go ahead, Sal. Oh, there is no light. There is no tariki. The way I said, the light and how light react to object create light. Okay, create color. So when it is dark, there is no light. There is nothing else. That darkness, because the way I said, the black material, they made it with a chemical, observe all of the light. When there is no light, it's darkness. It's darkness.
It doesn't go anywhere. It's the light that shows some color.
Yeah, there is nothing. It's empty.
It's the light that goes north. Is it true that when there's light, it's like a reflection?
Okay.
When it's dark.
Let's go continue. I want to continue a little bit more. I know you are tired. This is International Space Station. You know, that one, the Russian built half of it, gave a fund, and the other half is 15 countries and United States. And this international station has 258 square feet of landing area. So the jets can sit down, bring food, bring an astronaut, exchange astronaut. But it has something interesting, has a robot. And the Hubble, you know, Hubble can go and stick to this robot. There is only 2 spacecraft that can be repaired. One is international, so of course. The other one is the Hubble, 5 times so far day. So now, this is very interesting. The Canadians are making this robot. They call it Dexter. Each arm is 6 feet. These are going to go top of International Space Station. They are going to go and repair a spacecraft. You know, it costs billions of dollars, NASA, because a lot of spacecraft they have, when they lose one equipment, they are not working anymore. So this is one robot. This is another robot, Robonaut 2. This, last year, December, they sent it to International Space Station. This has arm. Of course, didn't have leg. They made a leg. They are sending a leg too. This arm actually helped this astronaut a lot. Has also software, can see, can think, can talk. You know, they asked the Christmas time, what do you want for Christmas? He said, toy rocket. He wanted toy rocket. So he does a lot of work. Why they are doing that? Because later on, when they want to go to Mars or other planet, they don't want to send human being. They want to send robot. Yes. But imagine the robots are in many different shapes. Remes 6000. Why do they call it? This is another robot. They go underground. They also send that for Malaysia. They go in the ocean. And why 6,000? From each direction, they can see 6,000 meters. So I'm surprised. No, meter. Mile, they cannot. 6,000 miles is, you know. So they couldn't find Malaysia and the, airplane. That is a big mistake. You know, there was an expert, because I listen a lot. That is the only theory I can accept. He said, I have no doubt it's somewhere between Turkey and Iran. My opinion is, so those countries, airplane is very expensive, especially that jumbo jet. But yeah, newer, very equipped. It's hard to imagine, they say goodbye and happen. But, they lost a lot of airplane because they don't have a part for them, These parts are very valuable for them. If something burns, you cannot make it. But if they have a different part, they can create. Now, who kidnapped them, I don't know. That is my opinion. It's very hard, but it's very hard to imagine they haven't found it. One piece of, few pieces of it should have been at the top. But that expert says, I have no doubt. But, that is something, it makes sense. I cannot believe such a equipped, airplane, not, something suddenly disappear. The reality that makes me upset, Russia, China, they have a satellite. They can see the plaque of the car, the number of the cars. These satellites are orbiting the Earth all the time. There is impossible. This technology, Russia, China, America, wouldn't know what happened. I don't think they can talk about it. Then they have to tell what's the secret, how they know, what they know.
Maybe they know and they don't know.
Yeah.
Talking about the black box.
Yeah, they couldn't find the black box and doesn't work anymore.
So when you say somewhere between Turkey and Iran, you mean it has
Not the black box. No, they couldn't find
No,
it.
in your opinion, you say
Things have landed and kidnapped.
No, they kidnapped.
Other countries took
This is a telescope Chandra. با X-ray کار میکنه. They are looking for black holes. Of course, we don't have just one black hole in our galaxy. We have millions of black holes. But now that we talk about black hole, I want to explain something about black hole. This is Andrea Ghez. He's a scientist. Right now, he teaches in UCLA. These are he works in Hawaii. These are Keck telescope, 2 telescopes on land, on Mauna Kea Mountain in Hawaii. From 1995 to 2010, 15 years, he lived in these telescopes. Of course, they are huge, He had help and everything. Why he was a study about black hole? What he realized, why they say, oh, there is a black hole, because they cannot see anything. They only think there has to be a black hole. He's proved that there has to be a black hole. Why? Because he has a lot of equipment. He has a camera. He has a computer. That, I show Chandra, this computer, they send the light, X-ray come back. They realize all of the stars around the black hole further away, their speed is 483,000 miles per hour, like our sun. But there are some stars, they are millions miles per hour. There has to be huge gravity that creates such a speed. So he is very positive. Another reason that we are sure there is a black hole exists, is European. European realized 2011, these are G2 cloud. In ابرهای G2 بهش میگن. They realized in G2 cloud داره thinner and thinner, داره میشه like a spaghetti. 1 more years they are going to enter in the black hole. 2011, they realized why they become so thin, like a spaghetti? Because there has to be a strong gravity pulling them. So they have no doubt that there is a black hole in the center of our galaxy, 4 million times larger than our sun. It's a huge area. So there is no doubt there is a, And of course, this is a black hole. They expected, every 10, 12 years. This is quasar. When the black hole grab and swallow everything, every black hole orbit 950 times per second around itself. So imagine everything changes to gas and plasma, and then after they swallow a lot, radiation come out. They're expecting maybe next year, but thanks God, the black hole is 150 quadrillion miles away from us. So this is a huge distance. So nothing will happen to us. But hopefully soon, we want to see the picture of. Actually, they are radio telescope. Amazing that these radio telescopes, there are 500 of them around the world. They want to hear a UFO. They want to receive a UFO from these radio telescope, but hopefully one of them will receive some message. But recently there was a noise in one of the radio telescope. They were so excited. It wasn't really UFO. One of these quasar makes such a noise that, you know, that was wrong. Two things that was, Percy Spencer, I just explained, he was the guy who created the microwave by accident. He had some candy in his pocket, and those candy melted. He realized that radiation should, food observe that radiation. And these are TESS, future telescope. Why? Because Kepler, or they were looking for the, you know, blue sun, and blue sun has so much radiation. 2017, look, these, they block the radiation of the sun, so they can take a nice picture of the planet. And I want to show you something, because I know you are tired. At night, we see a lot of stars. Those are blue stars. Majority of stars are red stars. But our eyes doesn't see because they are infrared light. They create infrared light. So they made a telescope, Spitzer, 2003. Look at the sky. There has to be so many stars, amazing. But we won't see them because the light they create, our eyes cannot detect those lights. So this is a Spitzer that IR, there is something interesting, then I answer. So far, every year, 1 million persons die from heart attack. And they cannot detect even one. With IR, infrared light, right now they can see inside the veins. And they show the cholesterol inside the veins. So this is a new technology. Hopefully they are going to use it and detect the heart attack before it happens. Go ahead, honey. Mitra.
Regarding when you have so much information health-wise, I'm just wondering, they're telling us to eat fish rather than red meat and white meat. But recently, even the fish, they say it's contaminated, coming from either Atlantic or wherever. So
I think we shouldn't eat too much of it. You know, let me talk about cancer a little bit. Why cancer is so complicated. In everybody, there are 200 to 300 bad genes. You know, as we get older, we have more bad genes. What happened to a cancer cell? They create a fiber. They call it matrix. This fiber, you know, every cell, we have a small vein entering, you know, and bringing food, bringing oxygen. Whether these matrix, they are collagen, really, the material is collagen. They rupture these veins or they block them. So imagine why cancer is difficult. They have to create a medicine to unblock these veins. They have to create the medicine, they repair some of these. They have to create a medicine to get rid of these bad genes. Some of the cancer, like blood cancer, there is only one bad gene, so it's easier. So you create, you know, some medicine, and thanks God, the patient are going to recover. But some of, like a prostate, like a lung, they are few bad genes. They create a medicine for one, how about the other genes? So they have to, again, right now, the good news is because of nanotechnology, they are mixing few medicine together, and with a pill, you can eat those pills, and they target, you know, the area with the right chemical. So that is at least easier. So my suggestion is we shouldn't eat anything a lot because our body can repair. That was interesting. Angela loved Dr. Oz. You know, a few months ago, I just because of your question, I remember, anytime I go to her house, she showed me a few, you know, Dr. Oz program, and she has a note. One day she has to give a lecture. They are a lot, Dr. Oz suggestion, antioxidant. You know, they have a pill in pharmacy. These antioxidants create cancer. He said, please, eat very little dosage of.
Over too much.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. Those antioxidants, I remember that we use. Yes, Angela.
Too much supplements.
And supplement. That's why they said.
Over
Yeah, yeah. And supplement.
Try to get most
Yes.
of it from your fruits, your vegetables.
But they said dosage antioxidant. I'm 100%.
Fish, I think that's why they say like 2 days a week is like a good number of fish to have. And then the other days that you don't have fish, take omega-3.
I see. But even
Omega-3.
why? They say don't eat
Well, what about chicken? Chicken has, you know, you don't know where the
chicken,
chicken
no
is.
red meat, just fish.
هر چیز خوبی زیادیش برات بده.
Even the chicken, even the red meat.
این too much of it is bad.
Bad bacteria.
به قول ایرونیا میگن خیلی
Any other question? Sorry. Any other question? Any other question? Okay, let's have dinner now. Let's have dinner. I think you are there. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. Thank you, thank you. Oh, my expert, I'm sorry, I talk about cancer. You should have get up and talk about cancer. My doctor friend, she's expert in cancer. Okay. اکسپرت یه موقع کار دوست من تو دانشگاه با هم دوست بودیم داره کانسر اکسپرت حالا پروفسور